You know, readers are writers. So you cannot be a reader and you just keep knowledge in the head. You have to also write it down for other people to read from you. So I just woke up in the morning, I said, let me sit down and I write a story. It was in my head. I sat down, my wife served me water, juice, food, and I wrote the story. My first novel, The Greedy Barbarian, I wrote it in 8 days. Whenever I tell people that I wrote a novel in 8 days, they cannot even believe. The Greedy Barbarian is just any other African literature book, talking about a small boy growing up in the countryside, struggling through education, and goes to politics, and becomes a president eventually, and he overstays in power for 40 years, and people become angry because of the impunities they were subjected to, the injustices, the corruption, the murders, whatever evil. And they go on the streets and they catapult him together with his family. He's murdered. And the country gets a new president, of which the new president transforms the country within 15 years and becomes a first world country. So that is the story in the first book. It is written in using descriptive language, setting, African setting, just like these normal books you read in literature, Animal Farm and Kozia Chifefe's The African Child. So the second book, when I was taken and tortured, I had to come up with another story. So I narrated whatever I went through in another book. So again, they came for me. I've written many books. I've written about 5 or 6, I think 6. But I've published 2. The third one is in a pipeline. Others, these people of CMI, they took them on my laptop. So I do not have any, I have to rewrite them again. I think both books, Banana Republic and Greedy Barbarian. But of course, Greedy Barbarian is my debut. It is my first novel. Though I wrote it some time ago in 2016, and I just published it this year. It was Easter Monday this year in April. I think it was 13th. I was in my bed sleeping, and suddenly my wife came running and told me that, you know what, we are under siege. The military have surrounded our home. So I got up like this, wrapped myself with a towel, and before I could even jump off the bed, the idiots had already entered the house, even had already entered the bedroom. So they pulled me out of bed. They commanded me to dress up. I dressed up, and they handcuffed me, they chained my legs, and they bundled me into their vehicle, and they drove me to CMI, the torture chamber, where I was tortured for almost 7 days. And it is from there where I was picked and taken to court, Kangaroo Court in Uganda. And I was remanded for about 15 days. They told me I have issues with the State House. I did not know then which issues. And definitely I knew that they were arresting me because of my book, The Greedy Barbarian. Though when I was writing it, I didn't know that I was invoking someone. I was poking the anus of the leopard. So when I was taken to the torture chamber in Mbuya, in CMI, they interrogated me about it, about the book. They told me to describe the characters in the book. You can imagine I used fiction, I did not use these people here in the government. It is a work of imagination, fictitious characters. So I looked at them beating me up, telling me to describe the characters in the book. I was like, now how do I describe? How can I relate? How can I reconcile that this one is Museveni, this is Janet, this is Muhoozi, this is Second, this is who? It's just a work of imagination, just giving them headache. Because maybe what I wrote about is exactly what they are doing, You know, when you talk about that, a pig gets annoyed. Because if you cannot talk about that or dirty things when the pig is around. So of course, they tortured me. They took me to the torture chamber. They beat me up. They did waterboarding. They hanged me. They hanged me in the toilet. They hanged me on the stairs, on the rails to the stairs. I almost died. They beat me up. All my body was swollen. I started urinating blood. By the time I got out of prison, I had inflammations in the brain. My kidneys were damaged. My eyes were damaged. The Constitution is very clear. The whole of Chapter 4 of the Constitution is very clear about human rights. You cannot get me and you beat me and you almost kill me like as if I'm a pig. Maybe these things of coming to pick me up from my bed when I'm naked and I'm taken to a torture chamber, maybe I can say that it has increased the sales of my books, because when I was arrested for the first time, anyway, my book was already a hot cake in Kampala. So when they arrested me, people bought off all my copies. I had to print 3 times. So the regime helped me to launch it. I see other people gathering people to, other authors gathering people to launch their work, but me, I've never gathered anyone to launch. It is Mr. Museveni and his hoodlums who helped me to launch my work. Even when I finished writing Banana Republic, before I could even publish it, they came to arrest me. So they helped me launch it. It got published. I've already sold off all the copies. I think I'm the first Ugandan to narrate my ordeal when my tormentors are still around. Because I am brave. I know that I'm brave. Because I come from Rukunjiri. What do you expect? People who come from Rukunjiri, we are very brave and defiant. So you cannot just torture me and I keep quiet. Of course, I have, when you torture a writer, he breathes ink. So you cannot just torture me and I keep quiet. No. I have to narrate my ordeal. I have to expose your impunity. I have to put it in papers so that people read and see how barbaric you are. So I exposed them. If you read this new book of mine, Banana Republic, I put all their impunity on the paper. You cannot just torture me and I keep quiet. I have to write about it. If I tell my story, very many people will read and come to understand that the person who is presiding over a country called Uganda is the same person who said that he cannot preside over a country whereby a person is killed and he doesn't know who the killers are. A person is tortured, he doesn't know who the torturers are. But here I am, I've been tortured almost to death, and he thinks that I will keep quiet. Very many people have died, and ever since he came to power, and he doesn't know who kills them. So that is eating his words. So you cannot say that journalism is not under attack when we have such threats. When I got out of prison, very many journalists had prepared reviews and of course, their editors refused to publish them. Orders from above. You have seen journalists being blacklisted. The government writing to media houses, instructing the bosses to fire them. So it is our responsibility as writers to reflect the times we are living in. You know, if we are living in an impunity world, we have to expose the government. We have to expose the impunity. We do not have to keep quiet. We have to use our talent as writers, our gifts, and we write about the injustices, the impunities we are being subjected to. I call upon all the writers, wherever you are, you know that you can use your pen to do something. Please do not be a coward. The dictator cannot arrest all of us, no. For me, I woke up in the morning and I wrote a book, literature novel. Little did I know that I was annoying someone. So if he thinks that I annoyed him and he sent military to come and pick me from my home and beat me up as if I am not a Ugandan, he was supposed to say, we are taking you to court. He was supposed to take me to court. Because it is the court that serves justice. They took me to the torture chamber and they hanged me like Jews hang Jesus. So that is not how things are supposed to be done. And when I came back and I narrated my story, still they came back for me. And I was taken there and I was tortured still. That is very barbaric. Constitutionally, we have a right to go and demonstrate against injustices, against whatever is discomforting us. Anyway, it is kind of a social contract between us Ugandans and him, the president. Though I doubt his legitimacy as a president, he came with a gun and still he has been using the gun to stay around. You saw what happened in 1996. I don't know how old were you. You saw what happened in 2001. I was a voter. 2001 I voted. In 2006 you see what happened. In 2011 you saw what happened. In 2016 just recently. So now how do you really cement the legitimacy of such a person? So a person who uses institutions to keep himself in power. You know, democracy depends on strong and independent institutions. So how do you really say that the president is a legitimate president when he uses the institutions, the police, the army, to rig votes? He uses the electoral commission. He's a computer-generated president. He's not voted by the Ugandans. So